How to set your Dubai wedding budget without stress. Let's be honest, setting your Dubai wedding budget is probably not the most romantic part of the planning. Nobody dreams of spreadsheets and VAT, right? But in Dubai and anywhere else, this is really important. In Dubai, there are minimum spends, redeemable F&B, venue packages, rental fees, and a few other things that might sound simple, but definitely aren't. So in today's video, I'll walk you through how to set your Dubai wedding budget without stress. I'm Barbara from Wedding Bubble, and I've been planning weddings since 15 years. The first 10 years in Europe and now the past 5 years in Dubai. So let's make this budget talk feel way less serious and a little bit more sparkling. Before we get into any details, let's get the big picture. How much are you actually willing to spend in total? If you have no clue, then normally it's around 800 to 1000 dirham per person. For example, if you feel comfortable spending 1000 dirham per person, then it's around 80,000 dirham for the whole wedding. That's as a rough starting point. Of course, there's so many other elements to consider, but just to give you an idea. So it doesn't have to be exact, it just gives you sort of a direction before you start viewing venues that might triple that point. Because we've all been there. You find that beautiful post with a terrace and skyline or beachfront, and then you start Googling the prices, and then you start Googling how to sell your kidney discreetly in Dubai. Now, let's talk about the most important and probably also the most confusing part, the venue minimum spends. In Dubai, most of the venues don't have a set rental fee. Instead, they work with minimum spends. And that's redeemable on food and beverages. So if a venue says they have a minimum spend of 80,000 dirham, that means you have to spend that amount at least on F&B. But here's the tricky part. Some venues also charge a rental fee, which may or may not be redeemed within that minimum spend. So whenever you start talking to a venue, always make sure what's included within their package. And because this topic is a whole on its own, I'll cover the minimum spend and their packages next week. I'll talk about what's really usually included and what's not, and how to compare venues fairly. Another important point, the alcohol factor, something that also really affects your budget. Alcohol packages can change your total dramatically. For example, if your wedding is alcohol-free, your cost per guest stays lower, since soft beverage packages are also part of their packages, of the F&B package general. But unfortunately, that's also not always the case. No, complicated, right? But if you do want to serve alcohol, then packages range usually between 300 and 600 dirham per person. So always ask for both options to clearly see the difference between alcoholic package and non-alcoholic beverage package. Once your venue and food budget are clear, decor usually comes next. That's also usually your second biggest expense. But it's also what makes the wedding feel like you, and also where costs can add up fast. I'll try to give you a simple guide so you can visualize or understand the costs. Let's start with the first package. Very simple decor. That's usually from 10,000 to 20,000 dirham. A simple ceremony arch, some welcome signage, centerpieces on tables, your bouquet, and a boutonniere, of course, and using the venue's existing furniture. Now, if you want it a bit more flexible and a few more elements, let's talk about the mid-range decor package. That's going to be around 30,000 to 60,000 dirham, meaning you can custom furniture, linens, backdrop, lighting, and just adding a bit more dimension and design. Now, if you want to go all out, then it's more the luxury decor package. That's when you go 100k or above. This includes full production, a floral aisle, a lounge setup for the guests, dance floor, some ceiling decorations, and more. Next, AV, aka audio and visual. When a venue says that they provide a basic AV package, what they really mean is a microphone that might stop working in the middle of the ceremony. So if you're hiring a DJ, an MC, a host, or any musical entertainment, always make sure to ask about their technical rider and what equipment they usually need. Because unfortunately, they don't always bring their own and it's not included in their services or offerings. So just to give you a rule of thumb, a small AV technical setup would be from 5,000 dirham. Means it's just a basic sound system. If you're planning to have like a full band and stage and you also want nice lighting, that's a minimum of 30,000 dirham and above. I know it's not the most exciting part of the planning, but good sound and lighting is what makes it look professional and smooth. Let's talk about the part which makes the wedding truly yours, little details. Of course, you have to think about the hair and makeup stylist. A basic package usually starts from 2,000 dirham and then it just goes up. Also think of your bridesmaids, maybe your mom or your soon-to-be husband's mom. And don't forget about the trial, makeup and hair run. That's usually also an additional cost. Photography and videography. Now, sometimes you would choose them separately. You have one photographer, another videographer. They usually charge 1,000 dirham per hour. But there are also some packages where photography and videography is included. So you can find packages for 500 per person. 500 dirham per photographer and 500 dirham per videographer. Ask your wedding planner, they know. Cake. So that's also a quite big topic. Sometimes it's already included within the venue package. They have a fake 2-tier cake with a real piece on top just for cutting. but sometimes it's not included. And if you want to get an understanding of the prices, if it's a small wedding up to 20 people, then it's usually 1,000 dirham. If it's up to 50 people, then it's already 2,000 dirham and above. If it's for a wedding of 100 guests, then it's at least 4,000 or 5,000 dirham at least, and then it goes up. Also depends of your dream wedding cake that you always envisioned, of course. Now let's talk about the celebrant and the MC. The celebrant is usually the one who does the vows with you, and the MC is the host who makes the whole wedding evening even more fun. He announces the speeches, plays some games, includes a bit more of the personal touch to the wedding. So the celebrant is usually around 3,500, MC is usually 1,000 dirham per person. Sometimes you can also find someone who does both and they give you a discounted package, so that's also possible for the MC and celebrant together. Now let's talk guest favors. That also depends, of course, what you choose for your guest. If it's like a simple piece of customized chocolate or mini olive oil or a mini honey, then it's usually 50 dirham per person. Then there's also something that I call the interactive guest elements. Similar to guest favors, but a little bit different. It could be, for example, customized fans, customized slippers, or disposable cameras that you put on each table to create memories. Depending on how many elements you choose, those are also approximately 30 to 50 dirham per element. Now let's talk about special effects. So if you're talking about something more affordable, like cold sparkles, a confetti machine, or bubbles, low fog, that's when it's around 1,500 dirham per element. If you want something more premium, like a drone show or fireworks, that's usually 35,000 dirham per minute, it starts per 2 minutes. Don't forget also to plan for meals for your staff. We usually include it always in our package, and we put around 50 dirham per person. Then there's also your accommodation. Sometimes it's also included within the wedding package, but we'll talk about it next week. And of course, accommodations for your guests. Don't forget to plan this ahead and ask for group discounts or ask your wedding planner to help you with this part as well. And now let's talk about the part that couples also sometimes forget to include. Your wedding planner fee. Most planners, like us, Wedding Bubble, charge around 10% of the entire wedding budget. Some charge even 15%. And that covers around 300 hours per wedding. From vendor sourcing, budgeting, logistics to the day of coordination. And about other 50 small miracles behind the scenes. Think of it this way. We handle the chaos so you can enjoy your wedding day. So what does all of this look like in real numbers? I'll give you an approximate budget range again. So if you're planning to have a wedding from 10 till 20 guests, you can expect to have a wedding budget of 50,000 dirham or above. If you have around 50 guests, then I would start planning to having a budget of a minimum 100k. If you're planning to have 100 guests or more, then the budget should start at least 170,000 or above. At least, I would even say 200,000 if you want to be flexible. 150 plus means 250,000 dirham and above. And of course, listen to me, every wedding is different. This could give you a realistic idea. If you would like to have a personalized budget overview, just send us your date, your venue idea, and your guest count, and we will send you a free customized budget estimate. So that's how you set your Dubai wedding budget without stress. Next week, we will dive deep into venue packages, minimum spends, rental fees, what type of venues there are, and what they really include, which venues are more flexible, and how to avoid overpaying. Until then, download our freebie, our Dubai wedding guide, and check out our vendor and venue guide, which you can both find. You can find all of them in our stand store, which I will link below, and sign up to our newsletter for weekly wedding tips in Dubai. And don't forget to subscribe and follow Wedding Bubble on Instagram and on YouTube, of course, for your weekly dose of luxury Dubai wedding planning. I'm Barbara from Wedding Bubble, where luxury meets fun. See you next week!